Hi guys, it is now 2025. We're a few days into the new year, so I thought it was time to go back and look at everything I made in 2024, or mostly everything I made. I actually made a lot. 2024 was the year where I really fell in love with knitting and sewing, just crafting and hobbies in general. It's been amazing to be able to pour so much energy into my hobbies this past year. I'm so grateful. And I'm really excited to be making this video because these videos were some of the first ones that I watched on YouTube in like the crafting, sewing, knitting area, and they got me really excited to make my own garments, particularly to sew because I wasn't really doing that at that time. So it feels really cool to be making my own today. So basically, I'm going to go through mostly things that I made myself because I still have access to them, but there will be a few gifts scattered in around here, and then I might do a special mention for some other gifts at the very end. But I'm also going to be rating everything that I made on a scale from 0 to 10. I don't think I'm going to rate anything 0. Um, but I'm going to be basing that on things like how long did it take me? Was it a nice process to make? Did I learn anything? Did I like the materials? Does it fit me? Do I wear it? All of those sort of things. So there might be pieces where I really love the pattern, but I just never wear it, so it's not going to be rated highly. Yeah, so with that all said, let's get into it. I've sort of compiled them in a document here to be nice and organized. And yeah, let's go. So the first thing that I made this year, which I'm a bit surprised about looking back, is a cardigan for my niece. And I think I've mentioned this in looking at all my knits video before, but this was a mini replica of a cardigan that I knit for myself. This was so cute. It's a 9 out of 10 for me. It's adorable. It actually fit her. This was something I self-drafted. Probably one of the better things I have self-drafted. I'm just deducting 1 point because I ran out of yarn. The yarn I'd had from my original cardigan I knit a few years ago. And so I had to use a different one to finish it off, but it's barely noticeable. But because of that, 9 out of 10. And then the next thing I made was this jumper for myself from the Lane 52 Weeks of Easy Knits book. I'll make sure I've got the pattern and everything up on the screen, but I think this one was a 9 out of 10 for me. This was the first knitting pattern I ever actually followed. Sometimes it did nearly make me lose it. The yoke nearly broke me because I just couldn't understand some of the instructions. But once I did work it out, I really enjoyed the process. And when I look at this piece now, I don't really remember that struggle and wanting to throw my knitting needles. I just love it. There are some faults, like there's holes under the arms. That was my fault. I wasn't following the pattern properly. And there are some minor errors with the increases in the yoke. And again, that's my bad. But ultimately, I'm really proud of this piece. I do really love it. And I feel very proud whenever I wear it. So 9 out of 10. The next was my one and only crochet piece. So I made this in one night. It was self-drafted, and I think I just sat down and watched Mad Men and whipped this up. It was before I was going on holiday to Indonesia, and I wanted to wear it over my bikinis. I'm pretty impressed with my crochet skill here, even though I know it's not perfect. But ultimately, it doesn't fit me right. I think I might have worn it once. So with all of that, I'm going to say it's a 6.5 out of 10. Like, I'm pretty impressed with it, but I'm just never going to wear it because it doesn't fit me properly. So there we go. And then we have my first sewing project. So I think I mentioned in a previous video, I bought a pack of 3 sewing patterns from Soffin Studio, and they were just basic ones that were recommended by another YouTuber on here from Carly B in her video Stop Brain Rot, Start Sewing. And I actually, through that video, it talks about um, different patterns that you could use to go from very beginning to a sort of confident beginner level in sewing. And that was really helpful. And I found these patterns from that video. So I sewed this bandana. That was the first thing I did. I was really, I was impressed with how neat my stitches were. It gave me a good boost. I think it's cute, but it also kind of gives me old school nurse vibes, or maybe nun vibes. I don't know. I think it's a combination of the color. It's quite big. I don't wear bandanas that often. Anyway, because of that, I'm giving this a 6.5 out of 10. I don't really wear it. Now, this next one was also in that pack, and there was another mini tote, but I don't have a photo of that one. It's just a small version of this that I also made. It just looks exactly the same. But this bag is probably my most used item. It was probably the nail in the coffin for my old sewing machine. This material, it's like a cord, and then I had wadding, and then parts of it's folded over. It was so thick. I broke so many needles doing this. But whenever I wear this out, I get lots of compliments. The seam has unfortunately come apart on one of the straps. I didn't do the straps super well. So I'm going to need to unpick it all and fix up the straps, I think, and then sew it back on, because I do really love this piece. I wear it all the time. But because of that, because of some of the errors, because it was one of my first sewing pieces, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Recently, I did remake this bag for my brother's partner, and I love that one. That one is a 10 out of 10. Love it. I did slightly different quilts. I really want to keep it for myself, but I gave it away and I might make myself another one, but I really love that pattern. Okay, so the next few pieces are things that I made in my very first video that I filmed for this channel. It is not up. I think I still want to use the footage, but the video in its original state was just really long, really boring. But I love the idea of it, so I think I want to re-edit it and re-release it. But I used a king-size flat sheet that we just never used on the bed, and from that I made a whole bunch of things. I thought it would be great practice to use the sheet to hone some of my sewing skills. So first up, I made scrunchie and an eye mask. I'm rating these an 8 out of 10. Very practical, functional, could be a bit prettier, but they get lots of use. So yeah, 8 out of 10. Next I sewed these PJ pants for my partner. I think he's got one pair of PJ pants, so I wanted to make him a pair. I'm giving these a 7 out of 10. I'm really impressed with how well made they are, but they're maybe not the perfect fit for my partner, because I was adapting it from a woman's PJ bottom. So they don't fit like spectacularly, but they do fit fine. So the next few things I did PJ bottoms. The PJ bottoms I actually made before the pants, and you can tell like the stitching is not great. I just used my sewing machine, the overlocker stitch, and it's already coming apart. I noticed yesterday that there's actually a hole in the crotch, but regardless, I love them so much. I wear them all the time. They're extremely comfortable, so I'm giving them an 8 out of 10. The top, it's really cute. It wasn't actually a PJ pattern, so it's not the comfiest. Like it can feel a tiny bit restrictive. And I love my PJ clothes to either be from a stretchy fabric or quite loose. So just because of that, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10, but I think the pattern's really cute and I want to just make that top and not as a PJ set, just to wear in life. And then the last thing I made from that sheet was 2 European pillowcases because we didn't have any to match with the bottom sheet that we did use and the pillowcases that we did use. The flat sheet was a part of a set and we just didn't use the flat sheet. So I made 2 European pillowcases. I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. They're really functional, but I did make one little mistake on the fold. But it's fine. It works. 8 out of 10. Okay. The next one we have is a knit. This was another one from my 52 weeks of easy knits from my Lane book. I had a rough time knitting this. I really hurt my wrist doing the ribbing, the twisted ribbing. It was quite thick needles, quite thick yarn. It also took days to dry after blocking it. I don't love the yarn either. It was 80% acrylic and it's already peeling. It looks quite raggedy already. The button band is really wavy and messy. I do still wear it a bunch. It's like a nice slouchy cardigan, but yeah, the whole overall experience and the materials are not my favorite. So I'm giving this one a 6 out of 10. The next one is just another cute little accessory. I made this bag in a bit of a hurry. I realized I'd forgotten that I wanted to make myself a little purse for a wedding that I went to. And yeah, I made this quickly. I think it's cute. It serves its purpose. It's fairly easy to make, but because I rushed, some of the stitching is a bit messy. And I don't think, because limited occasions where I'll use this bag, so I think it's a 6 out of 10. All right, and then we have got this slipover. What is it? The Petite Knits Novice slipover. I love how neat this looks. It's probably the piece where I'm most impressed with my own knitting. But if you've seen my first video that I put up here where I was knitting this piece, I ran out of yarn. It was vintage yarn that I couldn't get anymore, so I just had to crop it. And the cropped length combined with the warmth of that vintage wool mohair in this, it makes it a really awkward piece to style. It's not super practical and it can be itchy. It's like too short for it to be a good winter piece, but it's too hot to wear in summer. Like, yeah, it's a really specific weather where I can wear this. So because of that, it's a 7 out of 10. I really, really want to make myself another one of these in the appropriate length. But yeah, this one, there's definitely room for improvement, but I do love it. All right, and then I knit my first pair of socks for my dad. These are a 5 out of 10. I didn't even take a photo of the finished project. These took me way too long to make. I kept changing the design and the pattern that I wanted to use. I made these out of wool rather than a sock blend, so I know they're not going to last. They're going to get out of shape. I just didn't really know that I was meant to do that. So yeah, 5 out of 10. They really, you know what, maybe it's a 4 out of 10 actually. Dad loved them. He really appreciated them, but I want to knit some better socks for him that I know will last. So it was a good start. All right, this next one is a bucket hat that I knit. I'm giving this one a 7 out of 10. It's really practical. I made it just before I went on a trip to Uluru and I wore it lots. It was so hot and sunny there. The top of the hat is like a little bit square. I wish it like was a bit more tapered, and the rim's a bit floppy, so I wish I'd done more top stitching around for added interfacing to give it a bit more structure. But ultimately I really like it, and I want to use those preferences that I have to make another one and make it perfect. All right, this next piece, it's one where I really love the pattern. I think it's beautiful. And I love this on the person who designed this pattern. I love it on other people I've seen make this, but it's just not my style, unfortunately. Like, I kind of wanted to love it, but it just doesn't fit in with my style or my wardrobe. Maybe if I'd used a blue denim, but like, I don't know, just the one I did use, it feels weirdly formal on me. I don't know. But I did learn new techniques on this, and I'm really happy with how the zip came out. Like, ultimately, I'm really happy with the technique on this top, but it's just not for me. So because of that, it's a 6 out of 10. But I've been thinking like I would love to give this to like my mom or my sister if they'd like it. And my mom came over just before, and she took the top and she was really pleased with it. So I'm super happy to be giving this to a good home. Okay, and then we've got another top. This is another top that was brushed. Like, I think it looks cute on, and I like the pattern, but it was sloppy sewing. I wanted to take this on my trip to Uluru, but it meant I rushed it. And so the stitching on the straps is messy. I realized that the cotton that I had, it was the same one for the bandana, but the cotton was too thin, or it was see-through, so I had to add a lining, and I did a sloppy job of adding that lining. So because of that, I've only worn this top once. I don't feel super confident in it. It's just not. I can't look at it without seeing all the flaws. So this is a 5 out of 10. All right, and then we've got this jumper that I made for my partner for his birthday. I'm giving this a 7 out of 10. I'm really happy with the finishes. It's another piece where I learnt a lot, but I wish I'd used a stiffer ribbing for the bottom hem and the cuffs. And I used an oversized pattern when I didn't want an oversized thing. I wanted a garment that was like a regular fit, because that's something my partner would be more likely to wear. So that was my bad. I didn't pick the right pattern, but I do like showing people this and being like, hey, look at this, I made it. And watching them be like, oh, wow, you made that. Okay, and then the next thing I made for my partner for his birthday was this beanie. I'm giving this one a 9.5 out of 10. It's nearly perfect. It's just the right style for my partner. This was my third attempt at using this same yarn to knit a beanie for my partner. I think I'd been trying for like a year and a half, but initially I wasn't using a pattern, and then I just couldn't find the right pattern that I liked, that suited his style and I liked with this yarn. But this one was perfect. This is the Petite Knits Oslo beanie. So great. I want to make more of these. I think the knitting could be a tiny bit neater, and that's why it's just a 9.5 rather than a 10. But yeah, I'm really, really happy with how that came out. All right, and then these pieces are from my like upcycling video. So this used to be one long top, and I made it into a 2-piece set. So for the top, I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. I actually love the top. It's like a simple, breezy summer top. I've already worn it a few times. It's not a 10 because it can be a bit risky, because it's quite loose to make sure I can fit it over my head without a zip. But it's kind of hard to wear a bra underneath, and so you just got to be mindful that nothing's going to come out. And I self-drafted this. I'm pretty happy with how it came out, how neat it is. The skirt, on the other hand, it's a 4 out of 10. Unfortunately, I tried really hard to get this working, but I made it way too short in the end. The stitching is a bit wavy, and I'm just not going to wear it, unfortunately, mainly because it's just way too short. Other things I could maybe overlook, but there's just not many places or any places I would wear this. So 4 out of 10. Alrighty, and then the next one, we have 2 pieces here that I made. So I've just got a simple tube top. I do wear a lot, but it's definitely not perfect. I self-drafted this as well because I was like, surely I can work this out. And I wanted to start practicing on stretch fabrics. It can slip down a little bit. I wish I'd either doubled up the fabric to make it a bit stiffer or I'd made it tighter. But yeah, it does the job mostly. I'm giving it a 6.5 out of 10. The skirt, I was going to give this 7 out of 10, but I think because I gave the top a 6.5, I'm going to give this a 7.5. I do love it, but some of the details are a little off. I'm sure you'd really have to look at the skirt to find it, but I can kind of see it. It also is like a little bit puffy. It adds quite a bit of volume, but I do really love it. I like wearing it, and I think it's a beautiful piece. So 7 out of 10. 7.5, sorry, 7.5 out of 10. All right, the next one is another knit, but this is my first summer knit that I've done. It was also my first time using kind of fun yarn. Like it was bulky and had like bubbles in it. And it was just thrifted yarn. I think it was acrylic and cotton. It knit up super quick and it's quite light and flowy. I can actually wear it in the summertime. This was the Milk Top by Le Pool, I think. But yeah, I love it and I love wearing it. This one is a 9 out of 10 for me. And then we've got the last piece that I made this year, actually just made a few days ago. This is a nice boat neck top. I love the fabric and I love the general fit. I like how it's like quite tailored. It's got the, I'm losing my words. What is that? Like the nice seams. um, the only issue with it is the neckline's just a little too wide. Like I love the boat neck fit, but I think I needed to make it a bit, I need to alter it a bit there and take a bit of fabric away because it does gape a bit while I'm wearing it. So because of that, I'm giving this an 8.5 out of 10. I'm definitely going to be making another one of these and I'll try and fix that gaping issue, but I will definitely wear this top. I love it. Yeah, so that was everything. Uh, as I said, I did make a few gifts. I made some pajamas. I made some baby socks and a baby beanie. I made a soft toy. But this was, yeah, this was the bulk of everything I made. I'm pretty surprised. I think in total, I made just under 40 pieces this year, which is quite wild to me after really only getting into making garments, making things in like the last quarter of the year. That's when this really took off, like my passion and excitement for it. And we're 4 days into 2025 and I just finished this top right before I wanted to finish it before I filmed this. So I think we're off to a good start. I can't wait to see what I make this year. I'm really, really excited to see where this goes and see my skills improve. And yeah, hopefully I can share some of that with you guys. Thank you so much. If you watched till now, thank you. And yeah, thanks for hanging out with me and going through all of this. I hope you are having a great start to the year, and I will see you later.